If you harass anyone I talk about, every video on YouTube will be deleted except for Surfin' Bird. It seems today that all you see is Family Guy on Twitter and Peter in memes. That was terrible, I'm sorry, I'll start again. The history of Family Guy is quite an interesting one. As far as TV shows are concerned, Family Guy was actually kind of a gigachad back in the day. It premiered right after a Super Bowl, it came back from cancellation, and Seth MacFarlane earned an Emmy for it as early as 2000. But the show's reputation didn't last. While the earlier seasons of the show are still held in high regard to this day, Family Guy has entered this weird state where it's doing well financially, but people on the internet always seem to hate on it. And while I could get a shit ton of views for making the millionth downfall of Family Guy video, I'm not really going to focus on that. Instead, I'm gonna focus on something more important. Memes. Within meme culture, Family Guy has always seemed to be one of the most omnipresent media properties. Just posting the single PNG of Peter Griffin is enough to make you an internet funny man. But how exactly did Family Guy get this way? And what made the show a meme? Well, that's what we're going to find out, as today we go back to the past.
Pop this piece of crap in, and what do you get?
You know what really grinds my gears? You, America. Fuck you!
Family Guy was at its peak popularity in the early to mid-2000s, and that time period was one where the conventions of internet and meme culture were starting to be formed. Memes back then were pretty primitive. Take a single image, put some impact font on it, and bada bing, bada boom, you're an epic and relatable comedian. Family Guy was no stranger to these types of memes. Some of the memes that spawned from Family Guy around this time include the Pepperidge Farm Remembers cutaway and the Grinds My Gears episode. These memes gained a fair amount of popularity, and Family Guy would accumulate its fair share of basic image memes over the many years, but something would happen that would propel Family Guy to an even deeper part of meme culture.
You know, they say Chuck Norris is so tough, there's no chin under his beard. There is only another fist.
That's ridiculous. Chuck Norris?
You probably think that this is just a scene featuring actor, martial artist, and evolution denier Chuck Norris, but this is much, much more than just a scene featuring actor, martial artist, and evolution denier Chuck Norris. During this time, it was a popular meme to make up facts about Chuck Norris, and when this meme was referenced on Family Guy, its relevance would have a sudden increase that would soon turn into a sudden decrease. This is what many meme economists from the time called the Family Guy effect, the idea that a meme will die when it gets too much exposure in too little time. And while the validity of this theory is questionable, I think it marks an interesting shift in how Family Guy was seen by the internet at large. In the series' earliest years, it was seen as this groundbreaking and edgy show that was the bane of media watchdog's existence. But after some time, it would become a more mainstream entity, a status that was exemplified by discussions about a supposed Family Guy effect. And while the internet started to slowly become more discontent with Family Guy, something big would happen to the show in 2013. On November 24th, 2013, beloved character Brian Griffin was killed off in an incredibly gory fashion, which came as a shock to the whole world. Hashtags related to this event popped up immediately, and plenty of people demanded for Brian to be brought back. The fight was brought to Change.org, and many petitions related to the event were launched. I will now present an excerpt from this very important social movement. The writers of Family Guy didn't just kill off one of their creations, they killed off the dog who has lived in our homes for the last 15 years. They killed the dog we all have come to love. They killed America's dog! One guy was so dedicated to the cause that he even got a tattoo of the character. And then Brian was brought back 2 episodes later, rendering the tattoo irrelevant before a full month could even pass. The dust would eventually settle and people would move on with their lives. Some people would go as far to claim that this event was when Family Guy truly jumped the shark. Then, after some time had passed, a very peculiar event would occur. In fact, this event was so peculiar that you could consider it a funny moment. There have been millions of YouTube users around the globe who have tried to figure out the way to crack YouTube's algorithm, but Family Guy Funny Moments channels are some of the few that have actually succeeded in this endeavor. The formula for these videos is incredibly simple. Make compilations of clips taken from Family Guy episodes. But this simplicity is the trend's greatest strength, as since these videos are incredibly easy to create, they can be pushed out at a faster rate than other types of content. Not only that, but they can do so while reaching the perfect 10-minute length that every YouTuber strives for. And for whatever reason, there's a high demand for these videos, to the point where some of them have accumulated several million views. But eventually, sometime in 2016, the memers started to catch on to the game that these channels were playing. They photoshopped various logos in such a way that the text was replaced with the phrase Family Guy Funny Moments. And after these edits became a decently popular meme, memers came to a realization. Family Guy was an untapped goldmine for memes. In March of 2018, people started to create edited versions of the scene where Peter hurt his knee. They made Peter do everything. They made him run for a longer amount of time, they made him say wacky things, and they even made him cross over with other anime. This wasn't the only scene to become a meme though. The aforementioned death scene of beloved character Brian Griffin had resulted in its fair share of memes as well, with some of them predating the knee meme. Another scene that became a meme was the "I did not care for the Godfather" speech, which became the rallying cry of anyone who disagreed with the popular opinion on any given subject. But there's one more scene that I want to talk about, and I'm not speaking lightly when I say that Family Guy did something unforgivable. The show committed the ultimate cardinal sin and did something unspeakably evil. They made fun of that show that Reddit likes.
Normal words.
But a horse guy!
But there was more to the story than just individual scenes. Let's rewind back to 2016. The Family Guy Funny Moments meme was a commercial success, and many meme economists were looking for a possible follow-up. Some thought the way to go was with clips of the character Joe Swanson saying, "Hey Peter." This meme would see some amount of use, but would generally stay confined to small circles. That was until December of the same year, where a user by the name of Thick Garlic would add a special ingredient to the meme, the letter B. By doing this, Hey Beater was no longer just a meme, but rather the evolved form of one, a shitpost. Many people would make similar edits, and they would get more and more absurd as time goes on. The most notable of these edits was one where Peter meets Kermit the Frog and gets fatally killed to death. With his dying breath, he instructs his viewers on how to get an iPhone 5. There were many shitposts that followed the Hey Beater format, but this was only the beginning. In April of 2018, a Twitter user with the handle RealMarkProde would edit a screen cap of the series to feature Sans Undertale. Am I just fated to talk about this guy in every video I make? Eventually, other users would create similar edits. All sorts of characters had come to visit Peter Griffin at his door, whether it was Jotaro Kujo, Nagito Kameda, or that one shitty meme you see on Twitter. In September of 2020, a Twitter user created a gimmick account that was dedicated to these types of images. As of scripting, this Twitter account has 25,000 followers. Then there's the Peter Explains His Joke meme. Some Facebook users added Peter Griffin and a large block of text to the bottom of a meme in order to parody the terrible memes that are typically found on that website. But then the meme branched out beyond its initial small bubble and spread to all sorts of websites. There are 2 different subreddits dedicated to the meme, and together they achieved over 70,000 subscribers. And there was one Reddit user who dedicated their whole account to the joke before they eventually abandoned it entirely. There's plenty of other memes and shitposts that I could talk about, like the time Twitter user High Blonde animated an Among Us cutaway gag that fooled several people into thinking it was real, including the creators of the game itself. But if I went over every single meme or shitpost related to Family Guy, we'd be here all day, so I'll just end this right now. I usually end these videos with some sort of melodramatic speech, so here goes. The internet changed things somewhat. Shocking, I know. And since that bold and unprecedented statement is out of the way, the video is over. Likes, subscriptions, and comments are all good for the algorithm, so hand them over. Also, check out any of the other videos I made or the playlist containing the videos I used in the creation of this one. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you. Bye-bye.